The alien world was silent, covered in black skies and endless storms. In the middle of that poisoned land stood a strange human fortress. It did not look like any normal base. Its walls were not made of simple stone or steel. They seemed alive, like roots and veins mixed with metal, glowing faintly in the dark. To the alien eyes, it looked more like a creature than a building. Ships from many alien clans circled the skies above it. Their commanders laughed at the humans. "Look at this foolish structure," one alien hissed. His long claws tapped on the glass of his ship. "Why would humans build here, on a dead world where nothing survives?" Another joined in with a low growl. "They think they are clever, hiding behind strange walls. But soon they will learn what real power means." Yet despite their mocking words, none dared move closer. The fortress gave off a feeling that was difficult to explain. It stood silent, yes, but it felt as if it was listening, waiting, almost, breathing. Inside the fortress, the human soldiers moved in quiet discipline. They did not shout, they did not rush. Their faces were calm, but their eyes carried secrets. At the center of the base, hidden under layers of glowing stone and living roots, something pulsed with energy. The humans guarded it without question, without fear. "Commander," whispered one soldier standing by a viewing port, "the aliens are gathering again. They watch us like hunters." The commander, a tall human with sharp eyes, did not look. Alarmed, "Let them watch," he said. "The more they watch, the less they understand. That is our strength." Above, lightning cracked across the black clouds, yet the storm never touched the fortress. The winds howled all around, but inside the walls there was only stillness. It was as if the planet itself refused to harm the humans. The alien leaders, however, were growing restless. "They mock us by hiding in silence," spat a warlord with scales of iron. "Let us break their walls and drag them into the open." His advisor shifted uneasily. "Be careful, my lord. This place, it feels wrong. My senses show strange readings. The soil is alive. The clouds do not move like natural storms." "Excuses!" the warlord roared. "Humans are weak flesh wrapped in pride. We will tear their fortress apart and make them kneel." But still, he hesitated, because every drone that was sent near the walls never returned. Cameras burned, signals vanished, machines fell from the sky as if swallowed by invisible jaws. The fortress never fired a single weapon, yet nothing survived if it dared to touch its borders. Inside, the younger soldiers were growing curious. "Commander," one asked, his voice low but steady, "why do we not strike first? Why wait for them?" The commander's gaze rested on the storm outside. "Because this is not a fortress built for war. It is built for patience. It is built for truth. They laugh now, but soon they will learn fear." The soldier frowned, confused. "But what gives us this power? These walls, these roots, this storm that never touches us? What is it?" The commander only gave a faint smile. "Not what. Who?" The silence deepened. The soldier did not ask again. "Beyond the walls," the aliens argued. Some urged attack, others urged caution. A strange feeling was creeping through their armies. The fortress was not just a building, not just human arrogance. It was something else, something that made even the boldest of them uneasy. One night, under the endless storm, an alien scout ship dared to land near the outer ground. Its engines roared as it touched the poisoned soil. The pilot laughed to himself. "See? Nothing happens. Their fortress is just a shell." But as he stepped out, the ground shifted beneath him. The soil rippled like water. Roots shot up, wrapping around his legs, pulling him down. He screamed, firing his weapon, but the roots only drank the energy. The ship behind him sank into the earth like it was falling into quicksand. On the walls of the fortress, human eyes watched quietly. Not a single soldier moved to help. Not a single voice rose in alarm. The alien screams echoed through the storm until the earth swallowed them whole. Then silence returned, heavy and endless. Inside the fortress, the commander finally spoke again. "They think this place is ours," he said. "But they are wrong. We are only guests here. The real power is waiting for them to cross the line." And as the fortress pulsed with quiet light, as the storm circled endlessly above, the humans stood calm and still. They did not fear. They only waited. Because deep inside they knew, when the time came, the fortress itself would awaken, and nature's wrath would answer. The storms above the alien world never cleared, and the fortress remained a silent figure in the darkness. Its walls glowed faintly like veins filled with living fire. For the alien fleets watching from above, the silence became unbearable. "Why do they sit so quietly?" muttered a captain with grey skin and curved horns. He leaned forward in his chair, eyes fixed on the strange structure. "Humans never act this way. They fight, they resist. But these ones, they only wait." His second officer shivered. "Maybe they wait because they know something we do not." My senses read strange pulses under the soil. The ground itself, it feels alive. The captain slammed his fist against the table. "Alive or not, this is only dirt and stone. Their silence is a trick." But even as he spoke, his voice carried more doubt than strength. Across the battlefield, in another ship, a warlord with scales as black as iron laughed at the sight of the fortress. "They hide inside like frightened animals," he said, his voice a rumbling growl. "We will crush their walls, drag them out, and end their arrogance." Yet none of his generals stepped forward eagerly. One whispered, "My lord, the fortress is not normal. Our drones never return. The air near its walls burns senses to ash. And the clouds never leave that sky." The warlord narrowed his golden eyes. "You speak like a coward." "No, my lord," the general replied, voice trembling. "I speak like someone who feels the ground moving beneath his feet when he stands too close." A heavy silence filled the chamber. The warlord said nothing more. Far below, closer to the fortress, a small alien scout team crept through the poisoned mist. They wore metal masks, their breathing harsh and shallow. Their leader, a tall figure with clawed hands, held a scanner that flickered with strange signals. "Look at these readings," he whispered. "It is as if the fortress is feeding. The soil around it hums like it carries a heartbeat." One of his soldiers kicked the ground nervously. "What are the humans doing? No one builds in such a cursed place. Even our kind avoids these lands." The leader raised a hand for silence. Ahead of them, the fortress glowed faintly. Its walls shifted, almost like the roots of a tree adjusting in the soil. For a moment he thought he saw eyes in the stone, watching them. He shook his head quickly. "It is only a trick of the storm. Keep moving." Inside the fortress, the humans observed quietly. A young soldier stood at the watchpoint, his eyes following the alien scouts moving in the distance. "Commander, they are close again," he said softly. "Do we act?" The commander did not move from his place. His voice remained calm. "No, let them come. Curiosity will teach them more than our weapons ever could." The soldier frowned. "But if they discover what lies beneath, they will not," the commander interrupted. "The fortress chooses what it reveals." The soldier fell silent, though unease lingered in his chest. Back outside, the alien scouts reached a ridge of broken stone. The fortress loomed before them, silent and unmoving. One of the soldiers spat in anger. "It is nothing but walls and tricks. Why do we fear it?" The leader raised his scanner again, and his eyes widened. No, this cannot be right. The fortress is not built on the ground. It is part of the ground. The roots run deep, farther than I can measure. It is like the planet itself is tied to it." Before the others could reply, the soil beneath their feet shifted. A low rumble rose from the earth. The soldiers froze, the mist swirled, and from the shadows, the roots of the land twisted upward, curling like snakes around their legs. "Run!" the leader screamed. They fired their weapons, beams of energy flashing across the night, but the roots only drank the blasts, glowing brighter with every strike. Within seconds, 2 of the scouts were dragged into the ground, their screams cut short. The leader tore free, stumbling backward, his mask cracked and his chest heaving. Only he escaped. He did not stop running until he reached the safety of his ship. When his generals found him, he could barely speak. His eyes were wide with terror. "The fortress," he whispered, his voice broken. "It is alive. It is part of the planet. And the humans command it." The generals exchanged uneasy looks. Some laughed nervously, calling him mad. Others stared at the storms above the fortress and felt their hearts grow cold. Inside the fortress, the humans remained calm. The young soldier who had spoken earlier returned to his commander. "They are afraid now," he said. "The scouts will spread fear among their armies. Should we not strike while they hesitate?" The commander turned, his eyes sharp as steel. "Fear is more powerful than any strike. Let them wonder. Let them imagine what this fortress can do. When they finally attack, they will already be broken inside." The soldier hesitated. "And if they never attack?" The commander gave a faint smile. "Then the planet itself will call them forward. They cannot resist their pride. They will come, and when they do, they will face more than walls. They will face the wrath of a world that no longer forgives." The storm outside roared louder, as if agreeing with his words. Lightning split the skies, and for a heartbeat the fortress glowed brighter, its roots pulsing with life. And in the alien fleets above, leaders who once laughed now sat in uneasy silence, staring down at the fortress that refused to fall. A fortress that seemed less like human pride and more like the will of nature itself. The alien fleets could not hold their patience forever. Fear was spreading among their ranks, but pride burned hotter. The fortress stood untouched, silent and unmoving, and that silence felt like mockery to those who watched from above. On the day, flagship of the scaled warlord, the Council of Generals gathered once again. Their eyes glowed in the dim light, voices sharp with anger and unease. "They laugh at us from their walls," one general snarled. "Every day we wait, our soldiers lose courage. We must act." The warlord leaned forward, his golden eyes narrowing. "What do you suggest? A full assault?" The general hesitated, his voice softer now. "No, a test. We send drones first. Machines have no fear. Let them break the silence of the fortress. Let us see how strong humans truly are." The warlord gave a slow, rumbling laugh. "Yes, a test. If the drones succeed, we attack at once. If they fail—" He paused, the amusement fading from his tone. "Then at least we will know what we face." The order was given. From the dark sky above, hundreds of metallic drones dropped into the storm. Their eyes glowed red, their weapons charged with heat. They descended like a swarm of steel insects, buzzing through the poisoned air. The alien fleets watched closely, holding their breath. Inside the fortress, human soldiers stood quietly at their posts. No alarm sounded, no cannons roared. The commander stood at the highest watchpoint, his hands clasped behind his back. "They are coming," whispered a soldier, his eyes on the swarm. "Hundreds of them. Should we fire?" The commander's voice was calm. "No," the soldier turned, shocked. "But watch!" The commander interrupted. The first drones reached the outer field. Their weapons lit the sky as they fired, blasts of heat striking the glowing walls. But the walls did not crack. They did not burn. Instead, they shimmered, as if drinking in the energy. The soldiers' eyes widened. The fortress, it absorbs the fire. The commander said nothing. The drones continued, charging closer, their weapons screaming. One by one they touched the edge of the fortress, but the moment they crossed, they dissolved. Metal turned to dust, circuits burned to ash. The swarm collapsed into nothing, their red eyes fading like dying stars. Above in the alien fleet, silence spread like disease. The warlords' generals stared at the screens, disbelief written on their faces. They melted, one whispered. No weapon touched them, yet they melted. Another hissed in fear. The fortress consumed them. It drank their power. The Gish, warlord growled, his claws digging into the armrest of his chair. Tricks! Illusions! It cannot be invincible! But even his voice shook with hidden doubt. Back inside the fortress, the young soldier could no longer hold his questions. "Commander," he said, his voice urgent, "this fortress is no ordinary defense. I see it now. It is alive. It is tied to the storm, to the earth itself. What is it truly?" The commander turned his eyes toward him. "You see only the surface. The fortress is not alive in the way you understand. It is a bridge. It binds us to this world. It listens, it remembers, it protects. And when the time comes, it will punish." The soldier whispered. "Punish who?" The commander's face grew hard. "Those who think nature is theirs to mock." The soldier felt a chill that no storm could explain. Outside, the alien fleets tried again. Larger drones were sent, carrying bombs heavy enough to crush a mountain. The warlord demanded results. "Strike harder, tear their walls apart," he roared. The massive drones dropped their bombs, explosions flashing across the eye. Night, the air trembled, the storm screamed louder. But when the smoke cleared, the fortress still stood, untouched. Not even a single crack had appeared in its walls. The aliens gasped in disbelief. "It is impossible," muttered a captain. "No stone, no metal could survive that." A voice whispered from the shadows of the council chamber. "Perhaps it is not stone or metal. Perhaps the humans have done the unthinkable. They have bound the will of a planet to their cause." The warlord slammed his claw against the table, silencing the whispers. But the doubt in his eyes betrayed him. Below, in the fortress, the commander finally allowed a faint smile. He spoke, softly, almost to himself. "They have tested the walls. They will test harder next time, and then the world itself will answer." The young soldier, standing beside him, dared to ask, "And when that happens, what will become of them?" The commander's gaze drifted toward the sky, where alien ships glittered like hungry vultures. His answer was quiet, yet heavy with certainty. "They will learn fear deeper than death. For it is not the fortress that waits to strike. It is the planet, and the planet has no mercy." The storm above roared louder, lightning flashing like the anger of gods. In the alien fleets, even the bravest warriors shivered. For though the humans had not fired a single weapon, the silence of the fortress now felt louder than war drums. And far below, hidden in the living roots of the earth, something ancient stirred, waiting for the day when the test would no longer be small, waiting for the day when nature itself would rise in wrath. The storm had grown thicker above the fortress, black clouds circling endlessly like vultures in the sky. The aliens watched with narrowed eyes, their ships holding position, their patience wearing thin. They had tested with drones, with bombs, and with fire. The fortress still stood, silent as always, untouched and unbroken. On the warlord's flagship, the council burned with anger. "They mock us," one general hissed. "Our weapons are nothing to them. How long will we let humans laugh from their cursed walls?" The warlord's golden eyes flashed. "Enough waiting! No more toys! If we cannot break the walls, then we break the land itself. Let the ground burn, let the skies fall. We will rip their shelter away." At his command, the fleet prepared its most destructive weapons. Beams of searing energy gathered on the undersides of the great ships, humming with deadly power. Their target was not only the fortress, it was the soil beneath it, the roots that bound it to the earth. Inside the fortress, the humans felt the storm tremble with a new rhythm. Soldiers looked up, unease in their faces. "Commander," a young soldier said, "the aliens prepare something stronger. Our walls may not hold this time." The commander did not flinch. His eyes remained fixed on the horizon. "Our walls do not need to hold. The time of silence is ending. Watch closely. The world will show its answer." The soldier hesitated. "Do you mean the fortress will fight back?" The commander's voice was steady. "Not the fortress. The planet." Above, the alien fleet fired. Blinding beams tore down from the sky, striking the earth with thunderous force. The ground shook violently, the mist split apart, and the world itself screamed. Explosions erupted across the soil, shockwaves rolling outward like waves. From a shattered sea, for a moment it seemed as if the aliens had won. The battlefield glowed with fire, the ground broken and bleeding. But then the fire did not fade. It twisted, it changed. The earth began to move. From the cracks rose massive roots, glowing like molten stone, writhing like serpents. They coiled, upward, some as tall as towers, their bodies pulsing with green light. The fortress walls shimmered in harmony with them, glowing brighter, as if the roots and walls were part of the same body. The young soldier gasped. "It is alive, all of it. The fortress, the roots, the storm, everything is connected." The commander finally allowed himself a small nod. "Now you see. This is not human power alone. This world chose to rise with us." The aliens in their ships stared in horror as the roots lashed upward. One root pierced through a warship's hull, splitting it in two like paper. Another wrapped around a smaller cruiser, crushing it until its engines screamed and exploded. "Fire again," the warlord roared, his voice trembling with fury and fear. "Burn them all!" The fleet obeyed, unleashing a storm of weapons, but the roots did not fall. Every blast of fire only made them brighter, stronger, hungrier. The very energy of the attack fed them. On the ground, the soil shifted like liquid. Trees that had been lifeless for centuries sprang up in an instant, their branches stretching unnaturally fast. They twisted into sharp spears, striking down drones and slicing through armored walkers. One alien captain shouted in terror as his readings spiked. "This is no weapon. The planet itself has turned against us." His crew screamed as lightning struck their ship, fire racing across the hull. The storm no longer circled above quietly. It now roared with rage. Thunder rolled across the skies like the voice of a furious god. Inside the fortress, the young soldier turned to his commander, his voice shaking. "But how? How did humans do this?" The commander's eyes were calm. "We did not control it. We listened, we offered respect, and in return the world became our ally." The soldier whispered, half in awe, half in fear. "So the fortress is not ours?" The commander finally looked at him. "No, we are only its guardians." Another roar echoed across the skies. The warlord watched from his flagship, his claws digging deep into the chair as one ship after another was torn apart by the storm and the roots. His generals stared in silence, their courage drained. "This cannot be," the warlord growled, but even he could not hide the fear in his voice. "Nature does not fight. Nature does not choose sides." And yet, before his very eyes, the storm chose. It struck only alien ships. The rivers below burst their banks, flooding alien ground forces, but leaving the fortress untouched. Mountains split in the distance, sending avalanches to crush marching armies. The land itself had become a weapon, and it knew its enemy. Inside the fortress, the humans stood in silence. They did not cheer, they did not cry victory. They only watched, as if they had been expecting this all along. The young soldier whispered again, almost to himself, "We warned them, and they laughed. But now—" The commander finished his thought, his voice low but strong. "Now they will learn what it means to mock the fortress that breathes with the planet." Outside, chaos reigned. Ships burned, armies drowned, skies raged. The fortress pulsed brighter with every strike, glowing like the beating heart of the world, and the aliens, once proud and mocking, could only stare in terror at the truth they had never imagined, that humanity did not stand alone in its fortress. The very planet itself had awakened, and its wrath had only begun. The alien fleets no longer hesitated. Fear had spread among them like poison, but pride demanded war. They could not return home defeated by silence and storms. The fortress had to fall, or their honor would burn forever. On the warlord's flagship, the order came like a roar. Enough tests, enough waiting. All ships, prepare for full assault. Burn their world until nothing remains. 1,000 voices answered his call. Weapons charged, fleets moved into position, and the skies above the fortress filled with fire. Inside the fortress, human soldiers stood at their stations, calm as stone. The young soldier watched the sky darken with alien ships. He turned to his commander, fear finally breaking through his voice. There are too many. Even the fortress cannot stand against them all. The commander's expression did not change. His eyes glowed faintly in the reflection of the storm. The fortress is not standing alone. The world is awake. Watch and remember. The first wave struck. Missiles screamed down, their fire shaking the earth. Beams of light cut through the sky, tearing into the ground. Explosions ripped open the plains, fire spreading across the poisoned soil, but the fortress did not fall. Instead, the world responded. The rivers swelled in an instant, rising higher than their banks, surging forward with unstoppable force. Alien tanks on the ground were swept away, crushed under black waters. The mountains groaned as if alive. Rocks split and tumbled, avalanches racing down to bury entire legions. The land itself seemed to twist against the invaders. From the soil, massive roots erupted, thick as towers. They lashed upward, wrapping around warships, dragging them down. Engines screamed before shattering in fire. On the alien flagship, the warlord's generals trembled. "My lord, the planet itself resists us," one shouted. "We are not fighting humans. We are fighting nature." The warlord slammed his clawed fist on the table, his golden eyes blazing. "Then we will destroy nature itself, burn everything, sky, soil, and sea, leave nothing alive." The fleets obeyed. They fired with fury, filling the skies with death. Entire regions burned. Forests turned to ash. Rivers boiled under heat. But every strike only gave birth to more rage. The storm above grew thicker, lightning striking with precision, hitting only alien ships. Thunder rolled like drums of war. Tornadoes spun down, ripping cruisers apart, scattering burning debris across the sky. One alien captain screamed into his comms. "The storm is alive. It chooses its prey." His voice ended in static as lightning split his ship into pieces. Inside the fortress, the young soldier gripped the railing. His face was pale, his eyes wide. "It is too much. The world will destroy itself if this continues." The commander shook his head. "No, it will destroy only what threatens it. Look closer." The soldier did, and he saw. The rivers did not flood the fortress. The avalanches bent around it. The lightning never struck human walls. Destruction fell everywhere, but the fortress remained untouched, standing like the calm heart of a raging storm. Outside, alien armies screamed as the land tore itself apart beneath them. Fields split open into deep chasms, swallowing troops whole. Winds howled, lifting war machines into the air before shattering them on stone. The young soldier whispered, barely able to speak. "This is not war. This is judgment." The commander's eyes narrowed. "Yes, judgment for their arrogance. They mocked the fortress, they mocked this world, now they pay." The warlord on his flagship roared in fury, though even his voice cracked under the weight of fear. "Pull back! Never! We will crush them!" he shouted. But his crew no longer believed. Terror spread through the bridge. Ships were falling faster than they could count. Another general turned to him. "We cannot win. Even the sky is against us. This planet has chosen the humans. My lord, we must retreat." The warlord's golden eyes burned with rage, but deep within them, the first spark of fear glimmered. Outside, a massive storm funnel descended, larger than any before. It wrapped around his flagship, winds shrieking like a beast unleashed. Alarms screamed across the bridge. The warlord clutched the railing as his ship tilted under the storm's grip. "No! I will not fall to dirt and wind!" he roared. But the storm did not hear him. With a deafening roar, it crushed the flagship, tearing its body apart piece by piece until it vanished into the black clouds. The other fleets saw their leader vanish. Panic consumed them. Ships turned, fleeing in every direction, but the storm chased them like a hunter. Lightning speared through engines, roots tore down fleeing vessels. The rivers themselves rose to drag the wreckage under. Inside the fortress, the humans did not celebrate. They only watched, silent and steady. The young soldier's voice was a quiet, trembling with awe. They came with fire and steel. They laughed at us. And now the commander spoke, his tone calm but filled with weight. Now they understand. This is not only a human fortress. This is the will of a world that refuses to bow. The storm roared its agreement, tearing through the last of the enemy ships. Across the battlefield, silence slowly returned. The rivers calmed. The mountains stilled. The roots sank back into the earth. The fortress pulsed faintly, alive, but quiet once more. The young soldier lowered his head, whispering, "We did not win." "The planet did." The commander placed a hand on his shoulder. "And that is the greatest victory of all." Above them, the sky cleared for the first time in centuries. The storm that had always circled broke apart, revealing faint stars through the dark. For a brief moment, the world was silent, peaceful and alive, and the aliens who survived, scattered and broken, carried a single truth with them across the stars: that humanity did not fight alone. When mocked, when threatened, when cornered, even nature itself rose in their defense. The battlefield was quiet now. Smoke rose in thin spirals, and rivers that had raged like angry beasts slowly returned to their banks. The alien fleets that had once filled the sky were gone, scattered across the stars, many destroyed, many fleeing. The fortress stood untouched, glowing softly in the fading stormlight. Inside, human soldiers moved through the halls with calm precision. No one celebrated. The young soldier who had watched the storms tear through the alien forces still trembled slightly, his mind struggling to comprehend what had happened. "Commander," he whispered, stepping closer, "it is over. The fortress, the world, they obeyed us. But how?" The commander, tall and steady, turned his eyes toward him. His gaze was calm, yet heavy with understanding. "It is not us they obeyed," he said softly. "It is the world itself. We only listen. We only protect. The rest, nature decides." The young soldier's eyes widened. "So all of this, the rivers, the storms, the roots, it was not our power?" The commander shook his head. "No, it was never ours to control. It was theirs, the planet's, but it chose to fight alongside us because we respect it. Because we are not conquerors. We are guardians." From the high watch point, the soldier looked out across the plains. The ground had healed where the battles had torn it open. Trees and roots that had struck the aliens now rested, pulsating softly with light, like a heartbeat under the soil. Lightning no longer danced in the sky, but faint sparks shimmered as if the storm itself still remembered. Suddenly, a distant figure emerged from the mist at the fortress gates. A single alien ship had landed, damaged and smoking. Its crew stumbled, out trembling, their eyes wide with fear. They had survived only by hiding among the clouds and fleeing at the last moment. One of them, A captain with cracked armor and scorched skin fell to his knees before the walls. His voice trembled as he spoke. We were wrong. We mocked you. We mocked the fortress, the planet, everything. Please, do not kill us." The commander stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "You will not die here. We do not take pleasure in vengeance, but you must remember this. Never again mock the will of a world. Never again assume that humans fight alone. The fortress is not ours. It is only a symbol. Nature is our partner, not our weapon. You will carry that lesson home." The alien captain looked up, disbelief mixing with awe. "The planet obeyed you." The commander nodded slowly. "It did not obey. It chose. And it will remember your actions, as you will remember this day." The young soldier turned to the commander. "So all this, the storms, the floods, the lightning, it was alive, watching, waiting, protecting?" The commander's eyes glimmered in the last light of the fading storm. "Yes, and now it rests. But it will not forget. Those who come with pride and mockery will face it again. The lesson is clear. Respect the world, or suffer the consequences." Outside, the alien survivors began retreating to their damaged ships. They moved silently, humbled and terrified. No one laughed, no one shouted. Only fear remained, a deep fear that would follow them across the galaxy. The young soldier finally exhaled. "We won. But it was not just us. The fortress alone could not have done this." The commander placed a hand on his shoulder. "Remember this always. True power comes not from weapons, nor walls, nor armies. It comes from understanding, from respect, from the bond between life and the world. Today that bond protected us. Tomorrow it will always protect those who honor it." A quiet wind swept across the plains, carrying the faint smell of ozone and wet soil. The fortress pulsed one last time, a gentle glow spreading from its roots to its walls, as if acknowledging the victory and the bond with the world it defended. The young soldier looked out at the horizon. The alien fleets were gone. The storms had passed, and the world had survived. He whispered almost to himself, "We were mocked, and now they know. They will never forget humans and the world we stand with." The commander watched him, voice low but firm. "No, they will never forget, and neither will we. Let them remember the lesson in fear, but also in mercy. We did not strike them. Nature did not strike them in anger. We allowed the planet to protect what is rightfully ours. That is the true power of humanity." The young soldier nodded, feeling the weight of the truth settle in his chest. The fortress behind them glowed softly, not threatening, not loud, but alive in its quiet vigilance. It was a reminder, a guardian, and a warning. Far above in the stars, the surviving aliens scattered across the galaxy, carrying stories of the day humanity stood with the world itself. No clan would ever mock the fortress again. No enemy would ever underestimate humans. The memory of that day would linger, a shadow and a lesson across light years. And as the wind whispered across the fortress walls, as the rivers settled back into their banks, the young soldier finally understood the commander's words completely. Humans did not fight alone. They had allies older and wiser than any army, an ally that lived, breathed, and would rise whenever humanity called upon it. The commander turned one last time to look at the glowing walls. "Let them remember this day," he said. "Let it echo across the stars. This is our message. Respect life, respect the world, and you may yet survive. Ignore it, and there will be no second chance." The fortress pulsed faintly in agreement, its light stretching along the roots deep into the ground. Silence returned, calm and eternal, but the story had already begun to travel across the galaxy. A story of power, respect, and the day nature itself stood with humanity. The young soldier exhaled, a small smile breaking across his face. We did not fight alone, and we never will. The commander nodded, watching the horizon. No, never. Alone. That is the truth they must carry, and the legacy we will leave. The fortress stood quiet, alive, and eternal, a symbol of human resilience, a partner of the world, and a warning to anyone who dared mock it again.